Hello everyone, my name is Fulza and welcome to my complete League of Legends bush camping tutorial. If you don't know who I am, my IGN is Camp That Bush and I'm currently in Grandmaster playing mostly Crit Garen top. The way I initially got to high elo was by bush camping and cheesing with Annie, Echo, Vlad, and other champions. And I personally do think that I am one of the best bush campers on this server. That is the reason why I am in high elo, and I think I have a nuanced understanding of bush camping and playing around vision, so I hope that I can share that with you today. I hope this video helps you understand my thought process, why I bush camp where I bush camp, and how even a simple strategy such as bush camping can get you to the highest elo in the game. I first wanted to address why I prefer Blue Ward over Sweeper. While Sweeper is good late game when you have 6 items and can no longer buy control wards, I think Blue Ward is better in every other situation just because when you're split pushing, it allows you to put wards in bushes and that way you know when the enemy team is coming to stop you. And additionally, if you have a Blue Ward in a bush, then you know that that bush is unwarded because the enemy team would have cleared your Blue Ward. I briefly wanted to talk about pockets of vision, or vision pockets, which I'll refer to later in the video. These are actually stronger than bushes in most scenarios because while people are naturally wary of bushes due to the fact that they've been bush cheesed before, there are a couple of spaces around the map that aren't bushes but are oriented in a way where the enemy doesn't naturally have vision of them that you can sit in and look for one-shots. I'll show an example right now when I played against Ravy Demon today of the one in top lane near the enemy tier 2 tower that you can sit, and it's a perfect spot to sit where the enemy won't get vision of you if they ever tried to walk down towards mid lane after clearing the wave. The 3 types of bushes that I'll be covering in this video are lane bushes, Splitpush bushes, and objective bushes. So lane bushes will be the 3 bushes in top lane, the river bush, and the tri-bush. The Splitpush bushes will be bushes near the enemy tier 2 tower and in the jungle in that area as well. And then objective bushes are just bushes near any objective, which will be different depending on which side of the map you're on, so we'll cover both of those separately. We will first talk about objective bushes, which apply to any champion with burst. Then Splitpush bushes, which apply to mid and top laners who split push. And then finally, I'll get into a little bit about top lane bushes, which just apply to top lane. That way, the more general information comes first. You will notice that the image I'm using is of the old map. This is because it was the highest resolution I could find, just so that the video is in the best possible quality, and the alcoves don't really matter for our purposes. First, we will be talking about objective bushes. These are applicable when an important objective is up or is spawning in 0 to 2 minutes, and this is applicable to any champion that has burst damage. I'll now go over each individual vision pocket and bush that corresponds to objective bushes. The S tier ones are always good and I use them almost every single game. The A tiers are discount S tiers or slightly worse versions of the S tiers. The B tiers are situational and the C tiers are, in my opinion, usually bad because there's just a better version of them that you could be using. Starting off in S tier, we have the pink B, the light blue B, the green O, and the pink O. The pink B is very strong because you can catch anyone going from mid to the objective either before or after the tier 3 tower. The blue B is very good because anyone walking to the objective from their base will walk past that. The green O is good because no one expects you to be that close to their base if they're coming to the objective from their base. And finally, the pink O is very strong as long as you get there early enough before it has been warded by the enemy team. So make sure you have a control ward if you're going to sit there, but it's very strong if you do get there early enough. Moving on to A tier, we have the yellow B, the red B, the white O, the yellow O, and the red X. So, the red X and the yellow B are similar to the S tier's light blue B, whereas if anyone's coming from base, you can catch them off from there. The white O and the yellow O are similar to the S tier's green O. And finally, the red B is similar to the S tier's pink B. In B tier, the situational category, we have the blue O, the orange O, the yellow X, and the purple X. So, the blue O is good if someone's shoving bot lane and then they're going to walk towards the objective. The orange O is also good in that scenario. They're just different places you can be. The yellow X is for if someone's walking from mid lane to the objective, but you think that the light pink B is warded or something like that. And then finally, the purple X is for if someone's coming from base to the objective. It's just like the yellow B and the blue B, but it's just a different spot that they might not expect you to be in. In C tier, we only have the light blue O. This is because this bush is so popular that people are usually very wary of it, and it's almost always warded. So you're better off picking a less popular bush to sit in to get a pick. I also want to mention that when ocean terrain is on, the bush right in front of the dragon pit is very, very strong. Now, I'll talk about Splitpush Bushes. These are applicable when there is either no objective on the map, or you're pushing in the opposite lane of an unimportant objective. So therefore, if second dragon is up and it doesn't really matter that much, you're pushing in top lane. Whereas if elder is coming up, you should be looking for a pick near the elder and therefore would not be split pushing. Now I will go over every vision pocket and bush that is applicable when you're split pushing. The language that I'll be using is from either the outer lane to mid lane or from mid lane to the outer lane, because if we're looking in the bottom left map, that would be from top to mid or mid to top, whereas in the top right, which is the mirrored version of the bottom left, it would be from bot to mid. So therefore I will be using from outer to inner or from outer to mid lane. Starting off in S tier, we have the white B, the white X, and the green X. The white B is probably my favorite bush in the game because you can get into it without the tier 2 tower spotting you, and it's almost never warded. So what you want to do is shove the wave and then back off and wrap around into the white B bush, and then if an enemy comes to clear the wave or walks near the bush, you can one-shot them. Moving on to the white X, this is a pocket of vision where the enemy would not have vision of if they have a ward in the blue O, or if the wave is just there. So after they shove the wave, they'll usually walk from the outer lane to the inner lane through that little space, and they won't have vision of you in the white X, so you can one-shot them easily. Now on to the green X. This spot is very good for after an enemy shoves the outer lane and then wants to walk towards the inner lane, because they won't have vision around that wall. Now moving on to A tier. I know I did say that A tier are usually just slightly worse versions of S tier, but you still want to use them almost every game, because after using an S tier bush once or twice, the enemy will be more wary of it, and that's when you move to an A tier which has the same purpose but is a different spot so they won't expect it. So in this tier we have the light blue B, the red O, the black X, and the red X. So the red X and the light blue B are the same as the green X in S tier, however they're just different spots. The red O is similar to the white B, however it's the opposite side of the map, and it's in A tier instead of S tier because you can't get into that bush without the tier 2 tower spotting you, so you can only really use it after that tower has been taken. Now the black X is similar to the white X, however it's just a different path the enemy would take. So when the tier 2 tower is up, normally the enemy will shove the wave and then take the path that corresponds to the white X, because the wave does crash in front of the tower. However, later on in the game, if the tower is gone and the wave has been pushed, or if the enemy just wants to take a safer path, they'll take the black X path, which is when you want to use that spot. Now moving on to B tier, these are mostly situational spots. So in here we have the green B, the green O, the white O, the orange O, and the light blue X. So the orange O and the green B are kind of a spot where the enemy doesn't really tend to path through that often, but sometimes they do, so it's an okay bush to be in. The green O is really good after you've used the white or black X a couple times, because at that point the enemy will be tilted and they'll walk all the way back before they path towards mid lane, and that's when that bush shines, because then you can like hyper tilt them. The white O is just, in my opinion, a slightly worse version of the black X, but if you want to be in a bush and you want to feel safe, then you can use the white O. And then finally, the blue X is really good after you shove in the lane all the way to the tower, because the enemy will catch the wave and then walk right around that wall, and they won't have vision of you, so you can immediately one-shot them. In C tier, we have a couple of Options: you have the blue O and the pink X. I don't think the blue O is good just because so many people expect you to be in that bush and it's usually warded a lot of the time, which is why I have white X so high in S tier, because even if they ward the blue O, they won't see the white X, so they 100% will not expect you to be in there. Now moving on, you have the pink X, which isn't really meh, it's more of a situational, but it's so hyper situational that I felt like it would be wrong to put in B tier and instead put it in C tier. So it's sometimes good, but most of the time there's just a better spot to be in than the pink X. Finally, I wanted to just quickly mention a couple top lane bushes. If you do have kill pressure in lane, what you want to do is after you shove a wave in, you want to back off towards your side of the lane and then wrap around into the farthest bush towards the enemy. And therefore, the next wave when they walk up, you can come up behind them when they're attacking the wave and look to get a kill. Here's another example of that exact same wraparound method. However, in this example, I wait for him to push to my tower before I go for the kill. A couple things I wanted to mention before the video ends is that it won't work out all the time. This video shows most times where the bush camping did work out, but there will be times where you just walk into a bush and there's 5 enemies there, and there will be times where you're sitting in a bush for a long time and the bush was warded and the enemies just kill you and you lose the objective. And it does happen, but most of the time it should be working out and you should be getting what you want out of it. Additionally, I wanted to say that when you're bush camping, patience is key. You want to get to a bush early before an objective spawns. I aim for 1 to 2 minutes before the objective spawns, and I sit there and I wait for an enemy to come or from the support to come ward, and then I look for a pick to give us prio on the objective and that we can take it as a team. You just want to give yourself the largest amount of time that an opportunity can present itself, and the way you do that is by getting to the bush that you want to be in as early as possible. Finally, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for the support on YouTube and Twitch, and if you have any questions on this video, you can leave them in the comments, or you can ask them on Twitch. Have a great day, everyone.